dropped it into the slot, trying to get to Mercer, and a great defensive play by Slavin, and now Aho coming back the other way. We're going end-to-end on special teams. Kane short-handed. Aho gets to a short-handed send across, and they can't complete the pass as Slavin had raced in, and now New Jersey coming back the other way. Meyer in the Kane zone, dropped it into the slot, trying to get to Mercer, and a great defensive play by Slavin, and now Aho coming back the other way. We're going end-to-end.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Quiet, Mike. We'll do this. My gosh. We need somebody who's good at this. We need somebody who's good at this.
Into the slot, trying to get to Mercer.
Yeah.
Great defensive play by Slavin.
Play by Slavin. Again.
The other way. We're going end-to-end on special teams. Kane short-handed.
Yeah. Needed you to hear that 3 times. What a fantastic way to start this. Hi, everybody. It's the Kane's Corner podcast, and I am Adam Gold, and we are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job, and don't you know, the Hurricanes were winners 4-2 over New Jersey. It's a little dark right now. We're going to try and fix this without necessarily breaking the flow of the show. But many of you will say the same thing. Too late, Gold. It's way too late for that. The flow of the show has already been utterly destroyed because you don't know what you're doing in terms of technology. I'll tell you what. Pardon me for a second. We might even start this over. I'm such a pro at this. I am such a pro at this. I apologize for all of the technical malfunctions. Right now, just going to have to see me in the dark for a couple of seconds. So let's get right to it because the lights will come on in a little bit. We are at a weird time of the day, and maybe I'll just hold this close to my face so you can see me. Wouldn't it be better if I just did this? If I just held it like this? No, nobody really cares. You don't really care to see me. It is what it is. Hurricanes were good. They weren't great today, right? The new guy looked great for a period, and then, as you might expect, adrenaline wears off, and maybe it was a little bit slower the rest of the way. Still, you could tell the skill. You could tell everything about Evgeny Kuznetsov and why Carolina felt like it was worth the risk to put this guy on the ice. And we still haven't seen Jake Gensel, and we will not see him tomorrow either. It will not be Gensel tomorrow. It will be probably the exact same group we saw tonight, unless somebody picked up an injury. We do know that Jack Drury was hurt early in the game, and Drury, unfortunately, not unfortunately, came back, and he played. He didn't play a ton. It was just under 12 minutes, but he did come back to play, so that's good. So, but you never know what happens the day after. And with back-to-back games, you have an extra forward right now at home. I wouldn't be completely shocked to see Brendan Lemieux draw in and Jack Drury come out. But again, Drury finished the game. He appeared to be fine, and we'll find out. And if you're Drury, and I'm kind of all over the place here, but if you're Drury, think about this. You know that there are 5 centers for 4 spots. You know that if you give your spot up even for a game, you might not get it back. And we'll talk about what the lineups are going to look like, what I think the lines will look like going forward. I don't have any inside information here. I'm just kind of trying to use logic in this whole thing. But anyway, hi everyone. Absolutely incredible technological performance so far by me. Let's get to the win. All right. Not going to spend a boatload of time talking about the win. There were some missed chances here. I thought Carolina was really good for the last 15 minutes of the first period. They get their goal, the power play. I thought the power play was trash. And the power play has not been good of late, right? What were they, 1 for 3 on the power play today? It looks better than it actually was. Frankly, could have had 2 goals without looking good on the power play. I just thought they were a little bit stale in terms of their movement. and it's masked by the fact that you get the goal from Martin Necas. We'll talk about him. So, again, not a great Carolina Hurricanes performance overall. Power play, I thought, was indicative of them being not very good, not very sharp offensively. Wasn't a great offensive game for Sebastian Aho, but the other aspects of Aho's game were very good, and it's one of the reasons why he's playing almost 21 minutes a night, because more often than not, even when Sebastian's offense isn't there, the defensive awareness face-offs have been. And it was good to see Andrei win some face-offs. Not Andrei. Sebastian continued to win face-offs tonight. He was very good in the circle. But just indicative of where Sebastian's game was offensively today. I mean, it's a shorthanded play, and it's Nico Daws who, for some reason, left the puck. Dude, you can't the puck was outside the trapezoid. You got to go get it and knock it out of play. He doesn't do it. Sebastian comes and gets the puck, and his feed to Jacob Slavin for what would have been an absolute gimme goal. It's a terrible pass, and it goes the other way, and that's the highlight you heard over and over and over again. But that's that pass. I mean, that pass has to be on the mark or shoot it. You could have shot it just for the same price. Anyway, it goes the other way, and Slavin gets back and makes great defensive play. Slavin made a handful of those tonight. He was, I think, at his Jacob Slavin-y best as well. It's the best -2 game you're going to see from a defenseman, because you can't fault him nobody gets faulted on the second goal. Just circumstances, extra man, scramble, and it's a goal by New Jersey. The first goal, that's Andrei Svechnikov's fault, and maybe even Pyotr Kochetkov. I didn't think it was an awesome goal to allow, but Andrei has a easy chance, not under any pressure at all, to clear the zone, and he whiffed on it. Come on, man, we got to be better than that. Not a great number 37 game tonight. Anyway, Carolina was good. They weren't great. Last second period, they certainly weren't very good. Although, I guess we'll talk about the disallowed goal. But the penalty kill is always good. 4 for 4 today. The power play, again, we talked about it. Statistically, it looked good. In reality, not good. The penalty kill, 4 for 4. They allow 1 shot on goal. They block 4 shots. That's it. Now, the Devils don't have a great power play, right? When Jack Hughes went out for a while, the power play was near the top of the league. And while Hughes was out, it plummeted near the bottom. I think they came into the game 12th in the league on the power play. But without Hughes in the lineup, they were dead last. And they've been last in the league since Hughes went out. Except a closer look said that the Devils coming into today were 6 of their last 19 over their last 7 games. So 6 of 19 is about 31%. That's pretty damn good. Their penalty kill had also been very good of late, even though it's bottom half of the league at number 18. So special teams had gotten better for the Devils. Not a lot else has gotten better for Devils. I am curious. Maybe neither of the new goalies got there in time because they were both acquired yesterday. But you acquired 2 goalies and neither played today. Jake Allen nor Kaapo Kähkönen played. Nico Daws played. First time he saw the Hurricanes, he got yanked early second period as Carolina led 3-0. And the other guy, Vitek Vanacek, was traded. I think he might have been traded for Kaapo Kähkönen, but he was traded away by New Jersey. So I thought the game was okay. Not a vintage, not one for the time capsule. But Carolina did show their defensive mettle, I thought, in the third period. Not a ton going on for New Jersey, and that's what you want to do, especially once you get your nose out in front on the Jesperi Kotkaniemi goal, and we'll talk about that. Then you've got to be able to lock it down, and they were able to do that tonight. Let's talk about that Kotkaniemi goal, because it's a bright spot for him, obviously. Not only is it the rare goal, his third in the last 42 games, but it turns out to be an enormous goal. A couple of games back, I don't know how many games it was now, maybe 10 or 12 games back, who knows? The season just kind of runs together and speeds along. But a couple of games back, Kotkaniemi didn't score the goal, right? But he creates the play, and Steph Nason, I believe, scored the goal. And I don't remember who it was against. Might have been Vegas. And I thought maybe this is what will get him going. And it didn't, because he's been basically the same player. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's no good. He'll never be better than a third center. And maybe a third center is the ceiling for him. I'm not going to say that, regardless of what the numbers are. But he hasn't made, honestly, positive impacts in games. It's not he hasn't been awful. He hasn't necessarily been a drag on them. But the way Carolina's set up, they're set up for the third and fourth line, especially defensively on home ice. They're set up for third and fourth lines to dominate play. Why? Because the Staal line goes out and usually checks the other team's best lines. And the Aho, Teravainen, Svechnikov line will get the second line, right? Because it's a good defensive line, because on that line, you've got two elite defensive players, defensive forwards in Teravainen and Aho. Svechnikov can be a pest, sometimes not a great defender, but can be a pest, and is certainly learning the game and getting better. So if your third line and fourth lines, especially the way Carolina is constituted, because their fourth line should be able to score, if you can't impact the game offensively, especially from center ice, doesn't mean you're playing poorly. It just means you're not playing well enough. And we'll talk more about Kotkaniemi, but we need to see more from him. And if I were him, I know you scored the goal today, but you gave the puck away a couple of times. And unfortunately, those are the things that Rod Brindamore notices more than the goals you score. Because what is Rod about? Not giving stuff up. So he was mad at the first goal by the Devils, which tied the game at 1, because Andrei just gave the puck away. And Kotkaniemi is not Andrei Svechnikov. So you're not going to get the same benefit of the doubt, if you will. Anyway, let's talk about the goal, because the goal was great. So he gets the puck basically corner of the ice and just above the goal line extended, the red line. He's right by the wall, and he just flings it at the net. Super accurate fling, by the way, because my guess is he was trying to hit Daws in the mask, but Daws went down, so the puck goes over his shoulder, right? Daws is right tight to his post. The puck goes over Daws' shoulder, hits the post behind him, comes back off. It was not going in, hits Daws in the back, and then rolls down his back into the net. And that goal made it 2-1. And that, while it wasn't the game-winning goal, because technically the goal that made it, that was Carolina's third since New Jersey scored again. But I think baseball has it right in the way they determine the game winner. What is the run driven in that puts your team ahead to stay? And that's the way I wish the NHL did it. The goal scored to put your team ahead to stay, but that was Kotkaniemi's. So in my mind, he gets the game-winning goal, regardless what the stats say. So that was a really great, smart play by Kotkaniemi. Good for him. I mean, hopefully he can build on it and then maybe apply some pressure to other spots in the lineup. Before we get to the lineups and what it's going to look like, let me just spend 2 minutes here on the new guy, Evgeny Kuznetsov. First period, I think we all saw what the possibilities are and why he will not be centering their fourth line. Sometimes we forget we don't see these guys play every game. But if you rewound the tape and watched the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2018, when Washington won the Cup, that dude was their best forward. He had their most points, but he was their best forward. When he's got it going, he is a handful. He's got incredible hands. He's got a very creative way of playing. He is incredible with the puck. Carolina does not have another player like him. They do not. And you put him on the ice with Necas and anybody else, and you have a really, really dangerous line. And it's not a surprise that line I think they drew the first power play, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they drew the first power play. Either way, they were on the ice because there was the goal mouth scrum where Nason and Kuznetsov both had their helmets popped off by New Jersey with some after the whistle mishmash, or maybe even before the whistle, but it was some rough stuff, and that was okay. Kind of dug the game for its physical edge today. So this guy's just different. It's just going to take him a while to become more acclimated to the way Carolina wants to play, and for him to get his own stamina up. Rod told me before the game he's not going to play very much. Said after the game he agreed that 13 minutes was a good target. I think Rod probably in his mind thought, if we can get 8-9 minutes out of him, that'll be good. Because he's only practiced twice in like 40 days. But he obviously kept himself in pretty good cardiovascular shape. And while the adrenaline clearly was spent after the first, he didn't embarrass himself the rest of the way. It just wasn't quite the same. Aho gave him a perfect pass that would have been a tap in. I think that was on the power play, and he whiffed it. There was a lot of that going on tonight. Kotkaniemi whiffed on a great chance on a feed from Kuznetsov. I think was it on the first power play? Or it might have been on that shift. Actually, I think it was on the shift that drew the penalty that led to the Necas power play goal. So Kuznetsov is just different. So he's got to play with better players, and that will happen maybe even as early as tomorrow. But also, it's possible that he might not even play tomorrow. Rod's got options now, and his first game back, got to find out where he is physically. They'll make that determination. But, man, at least for the first period, Evgeny Kuznetsov was arguably Carolina's best player. I mean, really, for the first period, I'm not sure that he wasn't, other than Slavin, who was tremendous today. Sorry. So cool thing to see, right? And I was on Sirius this morning, and they were asking me obviously about the two acquisitions. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but because it was player in, player out in the Guentzel trade, yes, you get the better player. Guentzel's the better player than Michael Bunting. But I think the real difference maker going forward will be the upgrade that Kuznetsov will give you over your number 2 center. Fact. This is no disrespect at all to Jack Drury or Jesperi Kotkaniemi. But man, Evgeny Kuznetsov, if he's right, yeah, it's going to look different. It's going to look fun. I also won some draws today. Won 5 out of his 9 faceoffs tonight. So, all right. Now, as for what it will look like. So, there's 2 ways Rod Brindamore can go with the line combinations. And I'll give you what I would do first based on what he is doing right now. Because I do think that it's time for Staal, Martinook, and Foss to simply be a thing. And maybe be Carolina's 4th line, but just a checking line, bump up shift line after power plays, after penalty kills, if they're not already on the ice for the penalty kill. I think it's about time that happened. And I think it's time that Seth Jarvis was just playing with, more offensive-minded players. Rod may stay with what he's doing, but that's the way I look at it. I think it's time to get 48, 11, and 71 back together. But here's how I would do my top two lines. And I'm going to give you an either or at one spot. Aho centers Guentzel and Teravainen or Jarvis, one of the two. Gensel's going to play with Sebastian Aho, although I guess you could play him with Evgeny Kuznetsov the way he's distributing. He can distribute the puck. Kuznetsov with Necas and Svechnikov. I think that would be an unreal combination. Carolina hasn't had a better second line than that maybe ever, including the year they won the Stanley Cup, for the absolute firepower that is sitting on that line. Again, I put the Staal line with Martinook and Foss back together, and then your fourth line, if you will, or third scoring line, which I think is more accurate. You'd have Drury centering Steph Nason and either Seth Jarvis or Stefan Nason, or Teuvo Teravainen. Depending on who you put with Aho and Guentzel, you put the one who isn't. You put them with Drury and Nason, and you've got three lines that should be able to score in the playoffs on top of your, shutdown, checking, identity line, especially on home ice. Now, maybe on the road, you go back to Jarvis on that line and just throwing it out there. Aho, Guentzel, and Teravainen on the top line. Svechnikov, Kuznetsov, and Necas on the second. Jarvis stays with Staal and Martinook, and Foss drops down to the fourth line with Drury and Nason. But that line looks far less threatening to me. And I think it's important to keep threats as often as you can. And even though Jarvis has fit in very well and plays very similarly to Staal and Martinook, I think you want Jarvis at 5-on-5 to be playing with more offensive players. That's just my view. But that's where I think it will be, which leaves, to me, the odd man out, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I know he had the goal today, but I thought otherwise his game was just at best meh. I think he has shown flashes of late. But ultimately, here's what I'm putting it down to. I've got to take players off the ice as I'm putting Kuznetsov and, sometime this week, I don't know, maybe Tuesday against the Rangers, Jake Guentzel. Right now, you've got your 12. Brendan Lemieux is the healthy extra, as he's been for most of the year. So you don't have to do anything at this point until Guentzel comes in. But already we see Kuznetsov in the faceoff circle, Kotkaniemi on the wing, which he frankly didn't play very well last year. But it comes down to this. Are you taking one of your centers off the ice? Or are you taking Jack Drury off the ice, which I wouldn't. He's too good a defensive player. Or are you taking a Jesper Fast off the ice? And I'll say this a million times. I'll say it as many times as I have to. Jesper Fast, like Jordan Martinook, helps you win. It doesn't matter if they don't score goals. It doesn't. It doesn't matter if they can't handle the puck. They help you win. And there's in part it's the reason why I would put them together. They help the Hurricanes win. I would not take Fost off the ice. I would not take Martinook off the ice. For me, the decision comes down to who are we keeping in? Are we keeping Jack Drury or Jesperi Kotkaniemi? And the answer or I guess you can throw Steph Nason in the mix as well. But if you ask me, the answer is simple, and Kotkaniemi comes out. Drury is the better defensive player. Drury is better in the faceoff circle. The only thing Kotkaniemi has an advantage in over Jack Drury is size. That's it. Drury is better at all other facets of the game. And again, when we get into the postseason, that fourth line might not play as much, which will be challenges for whoever the core wing player is on that line, whether it's Jarvis or Teravainen, whoever it is. That'll be a difficult adjustment because there's not going to be a ton of ice time. You better hope for a lot of power plays to build that time on ice up. But that's the way I would set it up. Again, KK was a great goal for him today, but his game otherwise was just meh. And let's not be swayed by the goal. I think if you looked at time on ice, I think you would see that Kotkaniemi didn't play a ton. I think it was around 8 minutes. But that's just a guess. And we also don't know when Jake Gensel's going to slot in. But again, I would imagine it will be with Sebastian Aho and a forward to be named later. All right. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Exciting times. By the way, one more thing. My fault. Let me finish the ad first. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. You should check them out online at aluminumcompany.com. Going to have to see better from Andrei Svechnikov, no? Oh, we didn't even talk about the overturned goal. I got 2 things left. Aren't we going to have to see something better from Andrei? That was not good today. Gave the puck away on the Nico Hischier goal that made it 1-1. He took 2 penalties. First of all, Timo Meier dove on both. We can agree on that, right? The first one, lazy stick. I'm not exactly sure he tripped him, but whatever. His stick was in a bad spot, and you've got a bad rep. But, yeah, I understand that Timo Meier was coming in maybe just after the whistle with a little extra for Andrei, but he missed. How about we don't take a silly after the whistle offensive zone penalty? How about we don't do that? Is that too much to ask? I'm sure the head coach didn't like it because he shouldn't have. So need more from 37 on that front. All right. As for the overturn goal, I don't get it. We might have already talked about it, but I'll just go through the play. So Carolina's on the power play. It's a turnover, I think, by the Devils, or Carolina forces the puck to be turned over, whatever. Good retrieval. They end up with the puck. Brady Skjei's got it on his stick. Probably a little bit closer than where Marty Necas scored his goal. And by the way, the Carolina power play at this point is still bad. It just, again, scored a goal. And Skjei takes a shot and beats Nico Daws. Steph Nason, after winning the puck back, circles around in front of the net to provide a net front bother. And he and Daws bang skates. Ultimately, the play is knocks Daws over, falls down, whatever. And the goal is scored, and then the whistle blows. So I have like 2 problems with the call. 1, the puck was already in the net. 2, did Steph Nason really interfere with the goalie's ability to make that save, which I don't think he did. And 3, looks to me like the bothersome contact is outside the crease. Now, you may say, well, his skate hit Daws' skate before then. Not arguing that. It might have. It did, and it might have been in the crease. Frankly, there's no good angle that I saw that shows him even touching the blue on the initial contact. But what I'm saying is that didn't knock, I don't believe that knocked Nico Daws off balance. I think they blew the call. I think goaltender interference is always gray. And I think that they weren't going to overturn it. It had to be clear cut. Now there's nothing there, even though there wasn't anything there. I thought it was a bad call. Thought the goal should have been allowed. And then Rod Brindamore says after the game that he didn't care so much about the call, but he was told that it would be 4-on-3 if the challenge was no good. And I think if he had been told it would have been 5-on-4 if the challenge is no good, I think he would have ignored it and taken the 5-on-3 for however long was left. And that's where Rod was mad, because he was told it would be a 4-on-3. I have no idea if they got that right or not. I just know that it should have been a goal. My opinion. All right, I already did all the commercials. We will see everybody with a much better technological performance from me tomorrow after the Canes and the Calgary Flames, and another game for Evgeny Kuznetsov. This has been the Canes Corner podcast. Like it, subscribe it, rate us, review us. If you don't join us on YouTube live after every Hurricanes game, by all means, just keep it where it is, wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you